Namaste and welcome to India Calling. I'm your host for the day, Sabin Rodriguez. They say you don't choose India, India chooses you. For many of us, that call starts with a whisper, I need to go to India. But I also know that for many travelers, especially from the West, this call comes from a mixed set of questions and emotions. Is it safe? Is it chaotic? Is it too crowded? How do I navigate this ancient culture? And what do I learn from it? What do I take from it? I think that's exactly what we are going to talk today. My guest today is Tamara Van Well. Tamara isn't just a traveler, she's a mindfulness practitioner who has been answering India's call and also leading a lot of retreats in India. She has a deep personal connection to India as well. She's married to an Indian from Mumbai and she has spent years exploring this spiritual heart of India. We are going to talk about moving past the headlines and finding the real India and what are the supportive communities, geographies, etc. And yeah, let me quickly welcome Tamara to the show. Tamara, thank you so much for joining us. Lovely to
Thank you
have you.
so much for having me. Yeah.
Superb. Let's start from the start. Before that, give us a small brief about your childhood as well, and then how you heard about India first, and what was your calling to India, and then how did you land in India, for the first time?
Oh, starting from my childhood.
Uh,
Well,
where you grew up
as a
and all that.
yeah. Well, as a child, I haven't been traveling at all because my parents were very like home based, just in the Netherlands. So I think I went outside of the Netherlands when I was 18. So that's quite yeah. But then my travel spirit. Took flight and I actually went to India the first time in 2014 because of a connection that I had and was doing volunteering work there, and I really wanted to join as I thought it was a beautiful way of exploring a country in real, not just seeing the touristic places, but really, experiencing life as it is in India. And it brought me to Uttar Pradesh, and really like the countryside of Uttar Pradesh.
The heartland
Uh,
of Indian spirituality.
yeah, yes. So yeah, I got to stay in small villages and really explore the village life in a way. And we were creating schools and also developing the educational part of it and seeing how we could support hygiene and all these kind of things around it. So it was a beautiful way to be in India for the first time. Yes.
Very nice. Tell us about your spiritual journey as well, since that's also very correlating with this,
Mm.
how you started your retreats and what's happening there as well.
Yes, well, I actually used to work in the youth care. I worked with children with ADHD, autism, who had trauma. So I also worked a lot with parents in this. And at a certain point, there was a mindful teacher that came to where I was working, and she introduced mindfulness. I was very intrigued by it. Like, what is this exactly, and how can I also integrate this in my work with the children? And also, I had a deeper calling to travel to Tibet. So that was all at the same time. I
And
don't
which
know
year
where
was
that call. I don't know where that calling came from, but
it?
I was like, okay, I need to travel to Tibet. And the moment that I actually set foot in Tibet, I really felt like I was home. And the ground, the people, the way of living, and also being in nunneries and monasteries was just really special to me. It's not really that's something that I can express in words. It's just really heartfelt. So yeah, then I started giving mindfulness training to children, and I really saw how this really helped them a lot.
Mm.
And that's where actually also my own interest in yoga, mindfulness, but also the Buddhist direction, but also more the yoga philosophy, more from India, came on my path. And I started practicing more yoga in the way that the Western knows how yoga is, had the physical postures, but I thought like there's more to it than just this only. So I started reading more about the yoga philosophy, the Yoga Sutras. I dived into it, found different interpretations of the Yoga Sutras and put them all together and did my
Wow.
own study with that. Yeah, so this is also now actually how I love to share about yoga, not about beyond the physical part of how we know what yoga is nowadays. And yeah, this is also what I bring to my retreats. And traveling the second time to India, that's where I met my husband.
Wow.
And he's actually from a Jain background. So I also dove into Jainism. What is
Wow.
that? And how does that relate to Buddhism? How does that relate to the yoga philosophy that I'm reading? And
Wow.
so there were kind of puzzle pieces that were putting together for me. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of the journey where I'm in. And that's also what I'm sharing in the retreats in India that I'm going
Do you
to.
also do retreats, in the Europe and, in Netherlands per se, or, is this retreat specific to India? And also, do you also do classes in Netherlands, a studio, or, what's your setup like there?
Yes, yes, yeah. I'm sharing classes in the town where I'm living, in the city
Wow.
where I'm living in the Netherlands, and on a very regular basis. I think I teach around 15 classes a week. And besides that, I'm also giving courses, so in yoga philosophy and how you integrate yoga as a way of living. And besides that, I was also always conducting retreats in Greece and other places in Europe. And I'm also connected with a Vipassana meditation teacher.
Wow.
So then we also give silent retreats together. So
Mhm.
he is taking the Vipassana meditations, and I'm then sharing restorative yoga. So the more calming part of yoga that's really connected nicely with
Wow.
each other. And then, of course, in India itself.
Beautiful. Tell me more about the retreat itself. What was your passage to doing this retreats and, taking up yoga as a profession, if I may say, because most of your time is occupied in this, right? So what led you to do what you're doing, and, what are the experiences that you have come across with people as well?
What really brought me on the path to share yoga was actually because the way I experienced it myself, it really gave me some a good amount of resilience. There were some things in my childhood and teenage time and adolescence that were quite intense, I must say, like in experiences. And when yoga came on my path, it kind of gave me a way how to view it differently. So instead of being a victim of everything that happened and whatever happens still, taking it really the responsibility in my own hands. Like the things are gonna happen. They are always bound to happen. That's life. But the way you approach those situations is really can really make the difference. And yoga really gives a way of viewing whatever happens in a more distance kind of way. Not that you become completely like, oh, it doesn't bother me at all, but it becomes your resilience becomes much stronger because of that. And you really start to see yourself lose from the identifications, the ideas that had this whole package is the things that happen to you instead of like seeing like, oh, why does it happen to me? You start to see like, okay, what does this experience have to teach me? What can I take out of it as an insight to take for my own growth? With smaller challenges it's
Mhm.
easier, maybe with bigger challenges it's sometimes a little bit more tough to see it in that way, like okay, this is coming to me, in what way can I take out of what is it teaching me. So yeah, this shift kind of taking your own responsibility takes a lot of courage because it means that you are the one that's in
Yeah.
control of how you live your life. And sometimes it's easier to just be a victim, to just like, okay, yeah, oh, this is happening to me, and
Sure.
I'm so sad. And it's easier to just like keep it like, oh, that person did that to me, than taking it into your own, like, okay, no, it's me that's letting this happen to me. And that takes some shift, and that's something that I really want to pass on to others, to really understand like, okay, but you are the one that can change everything in how you view things and how you approach things, and that can give a lot of freedom in your
Yeah.
way of living.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least that's how I experience it. Yeah.
Once you started doing these sessions, how has it changed? Like, what was your experience like when people were experiencing it for the first time, or, when they were integrating in their lives, what changes were you seeing in their life? And I'm sure, the good deeds that you're doing also reflects a lot on you, right? Like, how do you see that?
Yeah, you see a lot in I don't like to see it as a good deed.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I, I just like to see it as okay, it's just like
Action.
flowing through
Yeah,
me, and it's an interaction that you constantly
yeah,
have with each other because I'm learning from them and
yeah,
we are learning all from each other. There's a beautiful saying from Ramdas, we are all just walking each other home.
yeah,
And that's really something that's really is the essence of it, I think.
yeah, yeah,
And I think because of people feel that they are having the strength in themselves, it gives so much empowerment. And it's just beautiful to see that in people, that they feel like, okay, but like I have everything already in me. There's nothing that needs to be fixed.
mm,
It's already there.
yeah.
I just need to uncover it and see it again. So yeah.
Like, I think we during our earlier discussion also we spoke about this. When you're in that moment of travel, how does that energy of the place, change you? Like doing a retreat in Netherlands, it's the sort of the same practices that you're going through, but why India? There are also other places across the globe. I'm not sure if you
Mm.
do retreats in Thailand, but why specifically India? That's a question that I had.
Yeah, specifically India is, of course, my husband is from India. No, but it is also really because I have lived in India so closely and have experienced, of course, the Indian way of living and living with the family. I lived in the family, a joint family. So I've seen a lot of actually like principles from yoga in
Real
living
life.
within a joint family. So it's in everything, and it's also in the way the daily life in India. Like there are, if you live in India, you experience that the people are so tolerant and so warm and always welcoming, and there's always space for one more, and there's so much to it in a way. Like if I see that on the yoga mats here in the Netherlands, and people put their mat and then it's like it's my space, so people should not come too close because it's my space, I own this space. And if you come to India and you are in a shala and then you are lying mat to mat,
Yeah,
and it's okay
yeah,
if you touch the other,
yeah,
it's okay,
yeah.
like we are just like sharing the space together.
Right.
And that's really showing also the me culture versus the we culture that's there in
Mhm.
India.
Mhm.
And it's also in the smallest of things of, well, there's a jugaad,
Yeah,
like making things work.
yeah.
Whatever you have, you make it work.
Good.
And I think that's also taking like a mental way of viewing things. Like, okay, there's a blockage, there's an obstacle, but what do we do with it? Are we
Mm.
gonna put resistance to it? Like, oh, I want to have it differently, la la la. Or are we gonna make it work? We are gonna move around it like water. And that's kind of what you see in India in everyday life very beautifully. So yeah, I think that's why India, because it's lived in everything. The yoga principles, you see it in everything around you. So yeah, it's, there was also a beautiful, like a person that said to me at the beach once in Goa, someone that was working there, and I will say like, "Oh, a happy new year." It's like, "Yeah, but it's always a happy day, happy new day. Like every day is happy. It's like you need to make most of it, out of it, not only during New Year's, but every day."
Wow.
So there's so much wisdom in the little things, in the little interactions that you have.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Specific to what you mentioned, one thing that's really interesting that I think it's very unique to you as well is that you get to experience the Indian joint family way of life,
mm,
Like especially the Jain community, they're very family oriented, they stick together with their families, they have a very rooted system that
mm,
way, right? Which has been passed generation after generation. It's beautiful along with their practices and everything. Share some insights because you come from the culture in Netherlands, and first only your boyfriend, and then getting introduced to their family, and then the extended relatives. I'm sure you're close to many of them here now, and how did that happen, and what is the difference that you see in the Netherlands versus this particular system that you are into right now?
yeah, well, luckily, the family is very traveled, so that makes a difference. So they were very directly, like, actually open to having me there, very loving, very kind, and very welcoming. And of course, they're especially since we have a boy now, he's almost turning 5. There you start to notice the difference in certain ways. Like in the Netherlands, you are very like, okay, if you are the parent, you are the one being the parent and you decide everything.
Wow.
But in a joint family,
Yeah.
it's like
The
like an
elders.
organism, like a one big organism. So it works all
True.
together. So everyone
True.
decides.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's for me sometimes a little bit like, okay, how do I work with this? But like, because I view things differently. So it also, it gives a lot of like mirroring of like, okay, but what happens inside of me when someone says this or does that, or a lot of adaptability that you
Yeah.
need to
Yeah.
have in this
Yeah.
way. Like, can I see my patterns, my own patterns from the Netherlands, how I've been brought up, and
Yeah.
can I be open to the possibilities of other possibilities? And that's kind of what a joint family is really showing me. Like, okay, there might be different views, but we all have one main purpose, and that's to that everyone is being okay. So how do we come to that one situation that everyone is okay, and how do we find that? And there are like discussions in that we have, and sometimes I think like, okay, the discussions, come on, a little bit faster. Like, that's Dutch, like, okay, get to the point. It takes a lot of time, but I can also really see the beauty in that. It is beautiful that everyone can have their opinion, can have, yeah, their view upon things, but still you can meet each other in the middle.
I think it beautifully correlates another point that you had mentioned earlier as well, which is the me versus we. Sort of again plays a big role in this as well, right? The perspective
Yes,
is
exactly.
always we as opposed to me. The decision making is always based on the we factor, even in a giant family. Like if you have to quickly put few big things that you love about, being in a giant family, because this might be a new thing to most of the people listening to our podcast, because this is a topic that we are talking probably for the first time. Uh, if you could put up, top three things, or, whatever number that comes to your mind, right? If you can share, that will be very useful.
Hmm. Well, understanding the wisdom of every generation.
Wow.
So that every generation has their own kind of wisdom that can be brought to the table. And we even have the grandmother in the house, also the great grandmother from my son. So, and she's so active still. And what she shows is, as long as you have a purpose in life, like, you can do so much. The moment you lose your purpose, then I see that here so much. People don't have a purpose anymore, and
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
it all gets to them mentally. And I see with my grandmother, my
Grandmother.
Indian grandmother,
Wow.
I see like she has purpose, she does everything and full-heartedly, and it's so beautiful to see. It's like, okay, you really need to keep your purpose in mind, because there's always something in that purpose that can bring you really that liveness still there. So that's the biggest thing, I think. And I think besides that, also really the caring for each other. They're really taking care of each other and unconditionally. So that's at least what I feel like, no matter what. Also, if we don't agree or whatever, that's okay. Still, that love is there. And that's something new to me, because in the Netherlands, it's absolutely not there. Even among parents and children, it's really kind of conditional, like, okay, if you act like this and do like this, then you get my love.
Mm-hmm.
And I experienced this here in this joint family. Like, okay, everyone makes their own decisions, but still we are one organism.
Mm.
And that's okay. That love is will be there, whatever the choice will be. And I don't know if that's everywhere in every Indian family, but
Yeah.
that's what I see a lot around me, at least, and what I have experienced myself in
No, that's a very
being in a
common
joint
factor. I
family.
come from the very southernmost point, and I'm single and I live with my parents, and there is extreme care. It is not very conditional. I don't have to. It's not necessary for me to satisfy my conditions. For the love to happen mutually. And that's across the board. You know, children, parents relationship is. But yes, these days in cities there have been instances of kids not taking care of their parents, but I think that is one of the first and foremost dharma, or things that was considered in India for ages, right? Like in all
Yeah.
languages you will have at least one of the greatest poet mention that before all the gods come mother and father. So that's a standard thing that was mentioned in all languages. India has many languages. around 20, 24 languages we have as like spoken languages right now, right? Effectively, if not more. Yeah, I'll have to check that number because I have
Yes.
that will be quite a lot, actively speaking population, within the country. So yeah, but the point is, yes, mother and father, parents' respect, was considered as the first and foremost.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
fact, I've noticed in recent times there are a lot of sadhus who tell kids, especially people who are their teens, who are not clear with their purpose of life or not sure, what direction to go in life. The first and foremost thing that they say is touch your parents' feet. Do
Hmm.
you have the habit of touching your parents' feet and taking their blessings, at least during festivals? That's the first question that they ask them. And one of the thing is that is how the transmission is also happening. And it's very evident from what you said. A lot of people around you, in your country, when you said, there are the purpose is lacking. And the simplest way of transmission is also not happening. That's happening definitely in a wider scale in India for sure. Because of the and generally, in a independent family, most of these days, even people of my age, they prefer nuclear families, not
Hmm.
understanding the benefits of being in a joint family. But, once they have kids, when the kids are growing up, they kind of understand how important is it to have the grandparents around to give different perspectives to the kids, teach the kid stories, all these moral stories,
Exactly.
right? A way of
Yes.
functioning in life comes from stories, and all these comes from grandparents. And when the kids misses all these, right, like they don't have real takeaways that they can implement in real life, right? So, any experience around that?
Oh yes, yes. The family loves storytelling. Yeah, my son loves it. Yeah, he adores it. Yeah. So everyone like he keeps on asking once when we are there in India, like
Um,
a story, another story, another story. So
oh, okay.
he's really into that. Yeah, yeah.
No, nice.
And every single one of them in the family has different stories
Different
to
stories
tell,
to
so
tell.
it's so beautiful. Yeah, and he learns so much. He's like a sponge, like you really
Oh,
take that in, and he really also, it's beautiful to see, he really integrates that also in life, and
yes.
that's really really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I've seen kids sharing stories that have been told by grandparents in school to their friends,
Mm.
saying, hey, you're not supposed to do this. You are supposed to do this because in that story, this person gives, you know, donates or, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I think it's a very integral part of Indian culture itself. I was lucky enough to study in Vivekananda Kendra Vidyalaya, which was, under Swami Vivekananda's guidance. So they share a lot of stories in our school as well. And even till today, the stories have been a big pillar of support,
Mm.
in everything that I do and, even decisions that you make. Sometimes it's very clear. All these stories are engraved in you. So yeah, nice.
Yes.
Anything you want to share about, traveling in India itself, considering that I'm sure you've traveled to Goa, Uttar Pradesh, and probably Uttarakhand or Himachal as well. So Gujarat, Rajasthan. So anyway, I'll let you share your expertise on all the destinations that you have visited one by one and what do you like the most about them as well.
Yes, well, the first time I've traveled more to Uttar Pradesh, and that
Varanasi.
area I've seen. Yes, yes. And then Rajasthan also. Yes, that's the first thing, of course, when I arrived in Delhi was like, oh my, that was kind of a culture shock. Because yeah, Delhi is something else, especially yeah, the old town, and that's where I thought like, yeah, this is really the India that I've seen
TV and news and
on
clippings.
television and all the images and everything. Yeah. But when I went outside to the countryside, and there I realized like, oh wow, India is very beautiful. So I really saw a different side of India, a different way of living in the people, with the people. And I already find a difference between Jaipur and Delhi. Jaipur is already, I thought, felt much more like relaxed and like more comfortable for me at least. And yeah, the second time actually that I traveled to India, I saw a little bit more of India. And I went to Varanasi also. And of course, there Also, different experiences were there, but while traveling
No, feel free to
to
talk more about, your experiences in Varanasi as a separate. So each of these destinations, you can share your experience, and, what all did you do there? What do you like the most? Any temple visits, if at all any, and if you can share any
yeah.
personal experience from there, that'll also be nice.
Yes, yeah, well, actually, it happened. So in Varanasi itself, we traveled by train from with a friend from Delhi to Varanasi, and actually at the station in Delhi, I was with two friends, and one of the friends needed to put her how do you call that in English?
Contact lens?
Not that you put in your eye to see better.
Yeah,
I
contact
forgot the
lens.
name
Yeah,
now.
contact
Yeah,
lens.
contact lenses. Okay. Yeah. So suddenly, like a group gathered around us to see, like, okay, well, what is she doing? Is she
Oh.
taking out her eye or something? I don't know. So people got very curious. So, but it felt a little bit intimidating because we were the only women
Okay.
on that station, and it were all like gathered men. So some guy stand next to us, and he said, "Don't worry, they are just curious. They are not doing anything. You know, they are just wanted to see what she's doing." And so he kind of calmed us down because we started a little bit. Okay, do we need to leave from here because of all the stories that we
Yeah,
heard? Of
yeah.
course, like is this
Yeah.
so good to be here in the middle of the night? And so actually this guy also we met again because he lived in Varanasi, and he said like, okay, let me just show you around a little bit. So that was actually really nice. And these kind of meetings I've had everywhere. So there is always someone that really like it's like, okay, I
Guiding you.
see, yeah, some, and that's also the warmth in the people from India, I think, because there's always someone that will help you to navigate in wherever
Mm.
you are. And of course, you need to always use your gut feeling. That's always what I say. But many times you will know, like, okay, this is good and trustworthy. And so, yeah, that's how we explored Varanasi also in a different way, because with a local, it's of course so much nicer because
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you really hear the ins and outs and also hear the stories behind everything that's near the guts. And I really enjoyed that on the way back from Varanasi back to
No, what was your
Delhi.
favorite activities in Varanasi itself? Like, would you recommend people to do?
For me, it was just sitting near the Ganges. That was just already mesmerizing enough. Yeah, to see
For
the.
me too, that's like the best thing to do. Just go
Yes,
early in the
yes,
morning,
so much.
take a dip in the Ganga, sit by the guards, and your time just goes.
Yes, exactly. Well, the dip I didn't took, but
Okay, okay.
no, I just watched the sunrise and the sunset. It is just magical to see life just happening. It's like, hey, life comes and goes, and it's really the stream of life, and that's so beautifully that everything is felt there. The stream
Yeah,
of life is felt there,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the coming and the going, and so that's. I think what I took really out of Varanasi is just like being there is already enough.
Mm. Mm. True, very true.
Yeah. And the beautiful part about that also while traveling back with the train was also in the night, and I fell asleep in the train, like a sleeper train. And the moment I woke up, I think 6, 7 hours later, I asked the people like, "Oh, where are we now?" Because we were standing still, and they didn't really understood or didn't know how to say it in English. So
Yeah.
I took the map and
So the
like pointed out, "Where are
where
we?"
I'll be.
So they pointed it out, and I thought, like, but this is exactly the same spot where we were when I fell asleep.
Oh, the train hadn't moved.
So the train stood still the whole night. Yeah, and I was like, oh, and everyone was so relaxed, and they
Yeah,
were like, yeah, it
it happened.
happens. So,
Which year
and
was
that
this? Which year was this?
this was in 2014
Oh
also.
yeah, a lot has changed now. Very
Yeah,
early
yeah,
evenings when late
but.
now.
But the thing was, it was so beautiful because I have just experienced in Varanasi, like, life comes and goes, and here you're just standing still, and we are like frustration started like, well, what do we need to do? We need to fix this. How do we get to the place where we need to be? And everyone else was just so like, yeah, yeah,
Happens.
it it happens. I will show whenever we will arrive.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that kind of feeling, I thought, like, yeah, okay, what if I also just like lean back and
Wait.
make the most out of it, drink some extra chai? And so, yeah,
Wow.
that was that if you are talking about spiritual lessons, this
Yeah,
is one
yeah.
of the biggest one. Yeah.
True. Especially experiencing the stillness in Varanasi and integrating it. into your real life. And this sort of experience is what defines your, whole life. Like you're able to talk about it even now, right? Like it is not the flashy touristy things that happened. It's how India teaches you something that you keep it with you for the rest of your life. Right?
Yes, yes.
That's beautiful because, even for me, that's how my travel works as well. Like any temple visit or whatever, the moment you are aware of yourself and the surroundings, you get to really experience the connectedness of the universe, right? Like how all the time there is something for us, something coming to us the way it should to guide our lives. So yeah, beautiful. Yeah, after Varanasi, where else?
I think that was a couple of years later. Then I also traveled to Punjab, and I
Okay.
think for me, being in a golden temple was also very special.
Wow. Yes, of
And
course.
just seeing the whole experience of the service, selfless service, that was
Mhm.
beautiful
Yeah.
to experience and to just observe, like how they do that, how everything is arranged. Everyone can just like walk in, no matter what, walk in and be nourished by nourishing food. And the stillness that was there was just like heartfelt. It felt
Yeah.
mesmerizing.
Wow.
Like, yeah, that was really deep. And yeah, I think if you are talking about temple visits, that was really like one that really stick to me. Yes. And of course, there are smaller temples that also really did something to me, and I don't know why, but many times it's just like the place where they are located, and it just the ground itself has something to it. And from there I have explored, of course, many places around Mumbai, as my husband is from Mumbai. I have explored Goa quite a bit. I've been very shortly to Kerala.
Nice.
I haven't seen that much of Kerala. I wish to see a little bit more from it. And of course, there are so many other places that I still want
Yeah.
to visit
Yeah.
because India is so beautiful
Yeah. Yeah.
and has so many different sides to it. Actually, every state has their own culture and their own beauty, and yeah, there's so much more to explore.
True. True.
So,
And the
yes.
kind of practices that are followed also, right? Like, what is followed in Uttar Pradesh and Punjab as opposed to what is followed in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, very different way of life. It all connected by a common thread, I would say, but it's so diverse, in what we celebrate and, how we live our day to day life. That's the beauty of what I call as Indian spirituality itself, right? Because
Yes.
there is anything and everything for everyone. Like if you want God, there is God. If you don't want God, there is no God practices that you can follow for the rest of your life as well. Like even temples for that matter, right? The temples in Tamil Nadu, for example, even most parts of North India as well. Like for like hundreds or thousands of years, non-stop rituals have been performed. And these rituals are not just common rituals, but rather a systematically planned one based on the date and based on the year. So many factors play a role on how the rituals function. Because of these rituals itself, the place itself is vibrating some sort of energy, because if mantras are being chanted in a specific place and if stones are
Yeah.
able to store these in certain ways, right? Like we talk about isotropic stones that are being used in these temples that can hold sound waves, which also get radiated back to people walking into these spaces, especially people walking with a sense of surrender or devotion, right? Because you're open to receiving it.
Hmm.
So this can be experienced across India. Like you said, your best experience was in Amritsar, you know, the kind of good, I mean, and you specifically mentioned heart, right? Because
Hmm.
it's no surprise at all that it's happening there, because it's so heartful being there. It's selfless service that happens there every day. So yeah, rich history to the place as well. Even I'm waiting to visit. I missed it last time, and I'm really
Hmm.
hoping I could visit sometime the Golden Temple. Beautiful. Talk
Yeah.
to us about your retreat as well, and tell us more about your retreats that have happened before. What sort of experiences that people have had?
Yeah, it depends on which kind of retreats, because I'm, of course, giving different types of retreats. But the retreats that I really love Sharing is more about the deep dive, really about self-remembrance, and that we can take off the layers that we have put upon ourselves during the experience that we have come across to. So I think that for it's kind of like an eye opener to see it differently from another perspective, and that's really what I experience with. And we are so stuck in living a certain way, and many times we are not being given another perspective to life. And once that's given, sometimes it can, the ego can be a little bit like, what is this? Protecting what is known. But if you can, like you were saying, like, hey, with devotion and surrender to it and really be present in that, then something can really beautifully can open up. And that's really what I try to give to people during those retreats, really like an opening up to like a different way of viewing life. Yes. Yeah.
Could you share, you want to talk about your specific retreat, upcoming retreat that's happening? So we can cut that for Instagram as well.
Yes, well, I'm hosting a yoga and hiking retreat in Maharashtra, and that's more connecting with nature, connecting with the hills, connecting with your own inner nature. And there's a retreat coming up in Goa, in the southern part of Goa, at a secluded beach. So in Goa, it's now hard to find beaches that are not touristic anymore.
Yeah.
And this one is quite special still. I'm not going to mention which beach because otherwise people will go there.
Yeah. Because it's secluded, people will want to go there.
Yes, that's right. And that's going to be really like a deep dive into the ocean of self-discovery. Yeah? We are near the ocean, so we are going to make use of the elements of nature to really start viewing everything a little bit differently. And sometimes it really helps to just take yourself out of your day-to-day life and really be somewhere else and just have less input, because we are so used, and especially nowadays, to like just fill all the empty spaces that are there. Like if we are getting bored, oh, there's our phone, and we start scrolling again. So can we allow those empty spaces to be there again, and can we be comfortable with emptiness again and with simplicity? So that's kind of what the retreat is more about in
How many
southern
days
part
is
of
this?
Goa. This is 7 days.
How can people book this retreat? How can they get in touch with you? If you can share your coordinates, that'll also be helpful.
Yes, well, my website is my name, and tamaravanwell.com. And that's also where you can find something about the retreat. And just for this secluded beach retreat, there's just one spot free. So there's one room available still. So,
Sure.
and it's from the 27th of December till the 3rd of January. So 7 days. Yeah.
Superb.
Yeah.
I have few more questions that we generally ask our guests. One is a lot of people, especially in Netherlands and Europe, are wanting to come to India, women. Could you share your tips for them, how to deal with India?
Yes, well, I've come across many from the studio that's like, oh, you're going to India again. Like, I really want to join you, but it's a little bit scary. I don't want to go there by myself. And so I always tell them it's not that scary as you think it is. It's actually, of course, there are places that you need to be a little bit more careful, but people that are living in India are being more careful in those areas. So, but I always try to say, like, India is also so welcoming. The people are so warm and welcoming. And if you just know your ways a little bit and know the way of living a little bit, you just read a little bit about it, then you will navigate through India very easily. And I would not recommend to travel to like Delhi. I would recommend to just travel to Mumbai and start from there. I think there's quite a bit of difference between the city of Delhi and the city of Mumbai. I think Mumbai is way more westernized in a way, I feel, and a little bit more safe. So because of that, you can see it already in the way they are using with the rickshaws, that you're using the meter in Mumbai. They use it. In Delhi, they don't. So those small little things, like if you know, like, okay, what to expect and where you can pay attention to, if they don't put a meter, okay, they have to do it, from the government. So yeah, and of course there are the Ubers that you can just arrange, and from one point to the other, you can share it with other people. So you will be okay, you will be safe. And like I said before, there are always people that want to help you navigate through it. And tips for India is just like read how the culture is and see a little bit more beyond the images that you get sometimes on the internet. It's not India, it's not only dirty and scary, it's warm, loving, it's beautiful. Nature is beautiful, mesmerizing. You see places that you have never seen before. India has everything, I think, when it comes to nature. Yeah, just go with an open heart, I would say. And India would show you that everything is possible. And there's a saying, I think, that they use a lot, sab kuch milenge,
Cool.
everything. So everything is possible. Also, a lot of beautiful things are possible. Everything can happen, and just be open for the experience, I would say.
And what are the common misconceptions that you think people abroad have, and you find it totally weird for not realistic for people to have that things about India?
Well, there is a lot of times what I come across too is in the little things that people here say, like, oh, eating with your hands, that's dirty. But I think, like, yeah, there are a lot of tradition is in that. It's actually not that dirty because no one is using their right hand to.
Yeah, yeah.
So there are ways, and I think in that way it's all about cleanliness. Actually, the rituals are so like more about cleanliness. It's about using all your senses with eating. You're really truly nourishing yourself with all the elements, and all the elements are also in your fingers. So everything has some other, like, really like a science behind it. What we see as like, oh, that's dirty, that's weird, it's dirty what we are doing with the shoe, with our shoes on, that we are walking outside inside of the house. That's actually quite dirty.
True.
So yeah, many things that I see. Okay, everything is so
Yeah,
poor.
taking with right hand is something that I commonly notice. In India,
Yeah,
it's a common practice. We always get or give things with the right hand. Uh,
exactly.
it's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very common.
There are so many like little things that really is taught true, but we don't know about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Actually, yeah, yeah. Yeah, mainly what I come across to as like, okay, India is very poor, very dirty, and women are not safe there. And well, I feel more safe in walking on the streets in Mumbai in the night
Oh, wow, weird.
than I walk here in
Yeah.
Zwolle, because there's no one there on the street. So if there's no one there, I'm feeling more scared.
Yeah.
And there are always people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone will come.
Yeah. And it's just like everywhere around the world, just use your common sense, no?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, yeah.
True, true. Beautiful. Anything else that you want to add? I think pretty much neared my questions as well. Is there anything specific that you want to add that we can include?
Yeah, well, I think open yourself up to travel to India. I think that's a beautiful one. And yes, India is full of extremes. Everything is there. All the extremes are there. And that's also why India is so alive. And that's the beauty of it. I think the aliveness and the love. I think that's just like how I want to close
Perfect.
up. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. I mean, thank you so much, Tamara. But listening to you, speaks exactly what we also want to share in India Calling. India isn't just a destination you see with your eyes. It's a vibration that you feel,
Mm.
within your soul, right? And our conversation sort of reflected that very clearly, So yeah, thank you so much for sharing your journey. And of course, your family's stories as well. That's a really beautiful perspective, that you shared. A very unique insight, I must say.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. So it's
Thank
yeah, it's really, I think what you do with the calling of India is really beautiful, and I think
so,
keep on sharing, doing this. Thank you so much for this,
thank you.
doing this.
We would love to have you again, on our podcast, when we have a topic or, some session to work with you later in the future as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it would be wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much.
Thank you.
And just, yeah, closing notes. And if you're listening, if you've been feeling that pull to India and that curiosity about knowing more about India, you could join Tamara's upcoming retreat. And like she said, you can visit her website, Tamara Van Well. And In case if you want to visit Tamil Nadu, or you want to understand more about the temples and all that, Smukti is also organizing tours in South India, and we welcome you to be part of our journey in January and February as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, and good luck, and thank you so much all. Take care. Namaste.